All right, so for more on the Patriots, we bring in the incomparable ESPN Patriots reporter Mike Reiss. Mike, you were there this afternoon at OTAs. What did you see from quarterback Mac Jones?
Phil, the only thing that looked out of place with Mac Jones at Patriots practice was his unusual number, 50. That's Bill Belichick's way of keeping all rookies humble and to remind them to focus on the important stuff. Jones worked behind Cam Newton at quarterback, and he's getting a lot of one-on-one coaching from offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels. At one point, I looked up, and veteran quarterback Brian Hoyer had pulled Mac Jones aside to go over the finer points of a fundamental. The goal? Get Mac up to speed, so come training camp at the end of July, he's ready to compete for the starting job. Field?
Key, I'm impatient by nature. I know we got more OTAs and training camp, but I want to know who's going to have the Patriots starting quarterback role in Week 1, in your opinion?
It's simple and plain. It's Cam Newton, and I understand the sexiness of drafting Mac Jones with the 15th pick in the draft, but let's be real with ourselves. They didn't go out in the offseason and do all those moves, much like Adam Schefter said, to give way to Mac Jones. When you go back and you look at the history of Cam Newton, he comes into a situation. They basically started off the season solid. There's a couple plays here and there. They go to Seattle. If they block Bobby Wagner, that's a touchdown. We're not even having this conversation. If he puts the football in the left arm toward the sideline, he doesn't fumble against Buffalo. They probably win that game. He doesn't catch COVID. Most likely they probably win 9-10 games with no weapons on the offensive side of the ball for them whatsoever. A defense that was holding things together as much as possible. So when you look at it, I know people point to the $14 million and say that's not a lot of money. No, that is a lot of money, and it is incentive-laced, but they expect for him to make those incentives. Also, injury problems. People make it seem as though Cam Newton is an injury-prone quarterback. That's not true. If you go back and you look at 2018 and 2019, prior to those 2 years, the guy played 119 games and only missed 7. Only 7, and the only reason why he missed games this year was because of COVID. I don't see where Mac Jones steps on the field unless there's an injury this year.
Yeah, I see it differently than you, Key. I get what you're saying about Cam's career, and I don't know that anyone that's played that doesn't have a ton of respect for what he has accomplished. But you mentioned the injuries. Typically, the injuries happen later in your career, not necessarily early in your career. That's why he played 2 games in 2019. You know, when you look at the production last year, I think that's probably the bigger concern. He only threw 8 touchdown passes last year. This is a passing league. I'll just say it. I don't think you would have wanted to play with him at this stage in his career. Like, he's not a passer. He hasn't developed the way that you would kind of want a guy to develop at that position. So, well, listen, he threw 8 touchdown passes in a passing league. He's thrown 8 over the last 2 seasons. That's a problem. Now, look, he's going to be surrounded with better talent than he was a year ago. Sure, that'll be the case. But you also drafted a quarterback in the first half of the first round that is actually going to come in fairly ready because of how he was coached in college, what his experience is. And so I think the challenge there is also the money that is due to him. You mentioned $14 million. Really, they're paying him backup money. They paid him backup money last year. They're paying him backup money this year. And it's not beyond New England to say, look, we got it wrong. We're actually just going to cut bait here and go, you know, another direction. And so look at this. I mean, he's making half of what Andy Dalton and Ryan Fitzpatrick are making. That, to me,
Tim, let me ask you this, Tim. Let me ask you this. Every analyst that I can think of during the season last year sat on national television and said they're not going to sign Cam Newton back. Oh, they don't like Cam. Cam's out of there. What was the first thing the New England Patriots did? They signed Cam Newton back. Whether it was a 1-year, a 5-year, 6-year minimum, whatever the case is, they signed him back because they saw what I saw, which is he has nothing around him. He struggled. Let's give him a real opportunity to show what he can do. To me, that speaks volumes. That speaks a lot of volumes when a team decides that they're going to go and sign a guy that everybody thought. Now, when you talk about 8 touchdowns only being thrown, so we're going to base that, his career in New England, based on touchdowns being thrown when there was nobody to throw him to? I mean, come on now, Tim. Let's be honest with each other.
No, hey, listen, well, Key, but if we're going to talk about the record, like, how about the coaching job of Bill Belichick? I mean, I think we have to kind of factor that in as well. I think a better quarterback play, they're winning, you know, they're better than a 500 team. Look, here's what I understand that people think that there's still football left in Cam Newton. Look, I thought that New England was the spot that he should have gone to. You know, a year ago when we were talking about what's the best landing spot for Cam Newton. All of that to say, they did draft a quarterback in the first round. There's a reason they did it, and it's because they have an aging quarterback that threw 8 touchdown passes last year.
I don't want to jump in here and settle this fight for you guys, but I will say
There's no fight.
clearly the Patriots are going to be better than what we saw last year. I agree with Key that they will start with Cam Newton. I think eventually we will see a changing of the guard because they did draft Mac Jones, but you don't throw him out there before he's ready, right? And I think out of all the QBs that were taken outside of Trevor Lawrence, I think Mac is the most pro-ready. But you can't tell me that Belichick, he's not dumb. Field and I know where he went to school. He's not dumb. He didn't spend all that money in the offseason just to go 7-9 or 8-8. All the money spent between him and Kraft, all the upgrades to this offense and this defense, the Patriots will be a lot better. Belichick is looking around the division. Okay, you might not have to worry about the Jets right now, but the Buffalo Bills, that's a team to beat in the AFC, and they're in his division.
Anytime you can make a Wesleyan University reference on NFL Live, it's a good day. That's right, the proud alma mater of Kimberley, myself, and also Bill Belichick.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.